Hey YouTube friends, thanks for stopping by the channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about one of my favorite topics, Basecamp 1000 Trails. I'm going to talk to you about the multitude of membership options that are available, hopefully save you tens of hours of research and having to shift through all the different options that you have, kind of give you a condensed version of what's available, compare and contrast those, and maybe even save you thousands of dollars in the process. Let's get into it. Before we get started in the meat of this video, if you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button, turn on notifications, and drop us a line in the comments. So 1000 Trails has become something that's kind of near and dear to my heart as a van lifer. I tell you in one of my videos, which I'll link to in the comments, about all the reasons I think 1000 Trails memberships are great for van lifers. I also do a whole video on new versus used subscription pricing and how to model that out. But let me just give you the overview of what 1000 Trails memberships is and the 2-second version of why it's great for van life. 1000 Trails is a membership camping program, and once you pay the fee and once you pay your dues, you basically, under most memberships, have the right to camp at any of their 82 parks nationwide, plus over 200 Trails Collection parks if you do the Trail Collections add-on for free. Now, not really for free because you're paying the dues, but at no additional cost. I want to show you a map of the parks real quick because it's going to be important for our discussion of Trails Collection and 1000 Trails. So this map is a map of 1000 Trails parks. This map is a map of 1000 Trails and Trails Collection parks. Do you see the difference? The 1000 Trails parks are primarily, as well as Trails Collection, primarily located in the 1000 Trails Smile, i.e. along the coasts. And if you look at Florida, there is, in Arizona, there's a concentration of Trails Collection parks and a dearth of 1000 Trails parks. For these states in particular, Trails Collection may be highly important to you, so please bear that in mind as we discuss this video. I also want to quickly show you RPI parks. RPI is concluded in your subscription membership, which we'll get into in a minute, the new subscriptions. It is an upgrade to many of the memberships you can buy used, if not all of them. I'm not sure if it's all of them. But it basically offers you cheap camping or severely discounted camping, sometimes as cheap as $5 or $10 a night, at a whole bunch of parks. Not all of these parks offer that cheap of a discount, but some of them. And then some of them that don't offer that cheap discount are still in the $30 a night range, so quite reasonable. RPI is something you really want to consider if you're moving and staying in a certain country, either because you're buying a subscription and you get it anyway, or as part of your upgrade. And the dues are fairly cheap. So I'll get into that with the subscription, but as you can see, you have an unlimited camping at a very set cost, and it is wonderful for budgeting, for planning, and for those times in van life when you don't want to sleep in the Cracker Barrel parking lot, and you don't want to sleep in the National Forest, and you just want to be in an established campground and have a little peace and quiet for a few days, or enjoy some resort-like amenities. I'm actually filming this from 1000 Trails Hershey. You can see the beautiful lake behind me. The grounds are gorgeous. There's a nice pool. It is like being at a nice resort. I say that. An older nice resort, but a nice resort nonetheless. I urge you to watch my video on how 1000 Trails benefits you as a van lifer and my video on new versus used pricing. But let me first talk about what the membership options are. So the good and the bad news is 1000 Trails has existed since 1972, which is basically over 50 years. Through that time, they acquired some campgrounds, they sold some campgrounds, they bought some other companies, they sold some stuff, and through the years, they created a whole bunch of membership options. And those are now available to you on the used market, used lifetime marketplace. And we'll get into that in a minute. And so there are so many membership options that I cannot possibly go through all of them, or frankly know all of them. I'm gonna give the highlights, but in broad categories, you have 2 different membership options right now. You have a new membership that you can purchase directly from 1000 Trails, and I can give you a contact for a 1000 Trails representative I worked with that I thought was very honest and did not pressure me at all to purchase, and was frankly very straight up about the benefits of a new versus used subscription. Or you can buy a used subscription that is, quote, a lifetime subscription. A lifetime in that as long as you continue to pay the dues, you have the benefits for life. So let's start with the new subscription. And I'm gonna put up a screen, and that way you can kind of follow along as we go through these. So I'm gonna disregard the camping pass, which is always an option. It has zones, it has this, it has that. It's way too complicated, it's cheap, it's complicated, it has bad booking windows. Frankly, I'm gonna not recommend that at all, and talk to you about the 3 main types of new subscriptions that are available. Those are Journey, Explore, and Adventure. You can buy them in 2-year or 4-year terms. There is a slight, and I say slight, discount for buying for 4 years. Now, what is important about these memberships and how are they different? Journey is the cheapest and the most basic. Adventure is the platinum, double platinum, super special package. That will be true with used lifetime memberships, and we'll get into that in a minute. There are some major differences. The first major difference is the booking window. So for 1,000 Trails Parks, not Trails Collection, just 1,000 Trails Parks, the Journey has 120, the Explorer 150, and the Adventure 180, meaning that's how far in advance you can book your reservation. Why is that important? For high use parks or during prime use time, it may become more and more difficult to get into the 1,000 Trails Park you want. I.e., if you want to go to the most popular park, like where I'm at, 1,000 Trails Hershey on 4th of July, you're probably not going to get to do that with a Journey membership. Now, can you go 15 miles down the road and see at PA Dutch Country on 4th of July with the Journey membership if you book it 120 days? Probably, maybe. Not going to say yes or no, depends on how many people want to do that this year. But overall, that's where the booking window plays a material part and why one is so much more expensive than the other. Now, quick note on my experience using as a van lifer, because I'm only in a park 4 or 5 days, I have yet to have a major problem booking a park I wanted. Now, I can't say it's been universally true. I've had 2 parks that I couldn't get into, but that's been over several months, and one of them was on 4th of July weekend last minute. So, you know, hey. The other thing to pay attention to, and this is not necessarily true of the subscription, but will come up later for the used lifetimes, is the maximum length of stay. All the subscriptions offer 21 days. There are cabin vouchers that go with each subscription. I'm not going to get into cabin vouchers because I have no desire to use cabin vouchers, but they basically give you a ability to get reimbursed if you spend a week in a 1,000 Trails Park in a cabin. Trails Collection. This is a biggie. Trails Collection is an add-on for used lifetimes, but is part of your package if you buy a new subscription. Trails Collection is about another 100, 120 parks throughout the country that with this add-on or in a subscription model with your subscription, you have access to. Now, this is where 1,000 Trails memberships get a little confusing. Actually, let me rephrase that. This is where 1,000 Trails Parks get way, way confusing because of the addition of Trails Collection. Trails Collection, Encore is part of Trails Collection, Encore Parks, has a different booking window. So for both your basic memberships, that's Journey and Explore, there is a 60-day booking window. For your premium package, that's Adventure, there's a 90-day booking window. And let me tell you, that makes a huge difference if you are going to be wintering in Florida or summering in New England. It does become hard to book Trails Collection Parks with that 60-day booking window for more than a few days or any time during prime time. Chances are you're not going to get, because the parks have designated sites for 1,000 Trails members. And when those get eaten up, they're gone. And so the people that have the adventure package that want to go to that desirable campground in February in Florida have booked it right at their 90-day window. You are not getting in all likelihood at 60 days. And if you do get in, it's probably going to be last minute. So that is a huge difference. But Trails Collection is nice because it basically more than doubles the number of parks you can use. So that is included in the 2 to 4 year subscription models. Now, the other difference is what's called park to park. With both Journey and Explore and Adventure, you can always go park to park between 2,000 Trails Parks. What you cannot do with Journey and Explore, but you can do with Adventure, is go park to park at Encore. Okay, that sounds confusing, but it's not. So for Trails Collection Parks, if you want to go to one Trails Collection Park to another, without 7 days out of Trails Collection, you cannot do that unless you have the Adventure membership. So every membership can go 1,000 Trails, well, let me rephrase that. Every subscription membership can go 1,000 Trails to 1,000 Trails. It can go 1,000 Trails to Trails Collection. It can go Trails Collection to 1,000 Trails. What only Adventure can do is go Trails Collection to Trails Collection. I know that's about as clear as mud, but let me tell you where that matters. That matters in Florida, where there are a lot of Trails Collection parks. That matters in Arizona, especially for me, because there's only 1,000 Trails Park and there's a bunch of Trails Collection parks. So the only way for me to go park to park effectively is to bump into that 1,000 trails and then out of it, which could involve driving hundreds of miles that I don't want to drive. Now, I haven't worried too much about this. I bought the basic Journey because it was all I need, because my plan is 4 to 5 days in a park, and rarely do I need that upgraded adventure. However, if you are going to Florida for the winter, you will absolutely need to upgrade to the adventure package or you will not be happy. So that gives you an overview of the subscription. Now I'm going to tell you that the rough cost right now for the basic package for 2 years, the Journey membership for me was $4,000 or about $2,000 a year. I know the rough cost for an adventure membership for 4 years is $14,000. So that kind of tells you where the cost difference is. Is it worth it? I don't know. I think you have to decide that based on your use case. If your use case is, as I said, going to Florida, going to in the winter, New England this summer, then yeah, you probably want the adventure package. If your use case is like me, 4 to 5 days going to places that are close to good mountain biking destinations, to use it as I described in my van life 1,000 Trails video, to fill tanks, to do laundry, to have 1 or 2 days of rest without worrying about the popo knocking on my door, then probably not worth it for you. All right, now we're on to the really confusing part, the used lifetime memberships. Oh, this is getting complicated. So I won't even give you the legal disclosures as a lawyer about what these things really are. Let's just say that's what they're called. And as long as you continue to pay dues, you will have the ability to use the membership. It's really that simple. So here's the deal. There are established marketplaces where you can buy and sell these things. The most common and popular one is a Facebook group called 1,000 Trails Memberships for Sale. Just search Facebook, you will find it. In that, you will see people buying them, selling them, and more importantly, discussing them. And so you will be able to not just watch this video, but if you want to do your research, you can look there and start figuring out kind of what the market value is, et cetera, et cetera. I can kind of tell you what the market value is at the time of publication of this video, but that's going to change over time. So used memberships come in a variety of categories. Because 1,000 Trails started in 1972, we go back to that problem of there are a plethora, a whole bunch of different types of memberships available. So, quick addendum as I'm editing the video live from Jack Caravan. I learned after shooting the video that there may be as many as 3,000 different contracts out there for 1,000 Trails. Yes, you heard that right, 3,000 different types of memberships. Some of those memberships even bear the same name but have different benefits. That's what makes this so complicated. All right, on with the video. I am going to now show you a graph of the most common. Those are an Elite Connections, an Adventure, an Ultimate Odyssey, and a Platinum. Those are the most common you are likely to encounter. Now, remember when I talked to you about the very basic Journey membership? That is equivalent to the used Elite. The Explorer is pretty much equivalent to the Elite Connections, and the Adventure is equivalent to the Adventure. There are some differences. For example, with the newer subscription models, you may get cabin weeks and things like that that are not available on a used lifetime membership. The other thing to note about a lifetime membership is that you will pay annual dues. Those annual dues can vary. Right now, the 1,000 Trails base dues are on $750 a year, and the Trails Collection adds another $450 a year. And then if you want the RPI, which we'll talk about in a minute, that adds another, I think, $200 a year. So with the subscription model, you pay one fee, you're all done, right? You pay that fee at the beginning, or you can pay a certain start fee and then pay by month, but that is your fee. There are no dues or no whatever. It's all included in one cost. With the used lifetime, you will pay a seller, usually an individual usually, an amount up front. Let's just take an Elite Basic. Elite Basics are selling right now between $2,000 and $2,500. So you will pay for an Elite Basic $2,000 to $2,500 to the seller. You will pay a $750 transfer fee to 1,000 Trails. Then you will pay annual dues every year in the amount of $750 for 1,000 Trails and $450 for Trails Collection and $200 for RPI if you want it. So what you say, okay, Ty, but what do I get? Well, you don't have to renew the subscription every year. You have or every 4 years, you have a set cost. So that's one advantage, right? And you have that benefit for life as long as you pay dues. So going back to our chart, used Elite is equivalent to the Journey. Used Elite Connections is equivalent to the Explorer. Used Adventure is equivalent to Adventure. Ty, what is this Ultimate Odyssey? Great question. I am so glad you asked. Ultimate Odyssey is an older legacy membership. Remember I told you there's a bunch of them? Well, we're going to cover just a few of them here so you get an idea of what they are, but I'm not going to go through every membership. Ultimate Odyssey is considered a top tier membership because guess what it does that no other membership lets you do? An Ultimate Odyssey lets you stand apart for 28 days. That's kind of awesome if you're going to full time because you only have to move every 3 weeks. Basically gives you right under a month, right? So Ultimate Odysseys tend to sell for a premium for that benefit. What can they not do? They cannot go Trails Collection to Trails Collection. Only Adventure can go Trails Collection to Trails Collection. If somebody tells you their membership can and they are not an Adventure membership, they are not being accurate. Now, one of my favorite memberships that I think is underrated is a Platinum membership. Platinum memberships sell for $2,000 or sometimes even less. Ty, what's at that Platinum membership and why might I want that? Platinum membership is a great example of how memberships changed over the years. Platinum memberships allow you to stay, gives you only a 90-day booking window. They only allow you to stay 14 days. Quick correction, some Platinums, like the one I'm showing on the screen, actually do allow 21-day stays, and there's such a thing as Platinum Plus that we will not be getting into this video, but just be aware it exists and has additional benefits. And some, you require that you're out of the system for 7 days after your stay of more than 4 days. So if you stay in a park 4 days or less, you can go park to park. If you stay in a park 4 days or more, you have to stay out of the 1,000 Trails system for 7 days before you can come back in. You're like, but Ty, why would you like that membership? That sounds awful. 90-day booking window, gotta leave, it sounds so inflexible. Well, let me tell you why I like it. Because for the most part, and there are exceptions, used elite connections and adventure memberships aren't resellable after the initial resale, i.e. the seller sells it to you and you cannot resell it again. Platinum you can sell indefinitely. So you pay, let's say $2,000 for the Platinum membership. You then turn around and pay the $750 transfer fee to 1,000 Trails. You pay your dues, right? $755 or $750 or whatever they are, plus another, let's just say you want to add Trails Collection for $450. But then when you're done, you can probably turn around and resell that Platinum membership for some dollar amount. It might be $1,500, it may be $3,000, don't know. Depends on when you're done and what the value of the used membership is at that time. So, Platinum membership also lets me tell you a cautionary tale. Platinum memberships, some memberships, Platinum being one example, do not include all 1,000 Trails parks because the contract was written decades ago. For example, I'm going to show you some memberships. This one is very clear about what parks it includes. Notice that it only says it includes 62 parks. Well, as I told you, there are 82,000 trail parks. This one only includes 62 because it's an older membership, and in their contract, those are the parks to which they are entitled to access. So when you buy an older membership, it is absolutely on you and imperative that you read the contract and know exactly what you're buying, and equally important, what you're not buying, i.e. what parks can I not access, and does that work for me? Because it may not. Let me show you some other examples. This is a LTR contract. This is a good example of a regional limited 1,000 Trails membership, and it only covers certain regions. So that kind of shows you, again, what the options are. Let me give you an example of a membership that I think you might want to avoid, even though it sounds great. This is from a recent post by a seller trying to sell an Alliance membership. And you'll note, as we go through this, that he talks about how his Alliance membership is basically, quote, similar to an adventure package, similar to others $8,000 to $9,000 plus memberships. So he's making the claim, effectively, that this package is equivalent to an adventure membership. Let me tell you all the reasons it's not, and why you need to be very, very careful. So, first of all, an Alliance membership is one of those older memberships that are, I don't want to say rare because there's a lot of them still floating around, but they give you one advantage and one advantage only. That gives you a 210 day booking window at 1,000 Trails parks. 210 days, that's a lot, that's great. It's overkill. You don't need it. Maybe there's an advantage to that, but I have yet with my 120-day booking window to be locked out of 1,000 Trails park. So there's that. You're paying for something that you probably don't need just because it sounds good. Number two, you cannot buy Trails Collection Plus like you can with the Adventure membership. Huh? What does that mean, Ty? That means you cannot get the 90-day booking window at those 120 Encore parks. They're absolutely mission critical for you. If you're gonna be wintering in Florida, if you're gonna be summering in New England, you don't have that additional booking window. And more importantly, you can't go park to park with Trails Collection. Remember, only Adventure can do that. So you are not buying a membership that is similar in those aspects to Adventure. Next thing. Now, I am not sure about this because I never thought cabin weeks transferred with Adventure memberships. However, I recently got shown that I was wrong by another poster in the 1,000 Trails membership for sale forum, wherein they stated and whipped out their contract to show that their cabin weeks actually transferred to the new buyer. So I can tell you, I'm not sure that happens with Adventure, but I can for sure tell you it doesn't happen with an Alliance membership. Next problem with an Alliance membership, you have to sign a new 10-year contract. So you buy a Adventure membership and you're rocking along and 3 years from now you have a health problem. Well, guess what? You can just say, yeah, I'll walk away from this membership, goodbye. Guess what you can't do if you have an Alliance membership? Can't walk away. No, you signed a brand new 10-year contract with 1,000 Trails for their annual dues. So I know those annual dues are actually less than a standard Adventure membership, and we'll get into that in a minute as to why, but you are on the hook to pay for those dues until you get rid of this membership and get some other fool to sign a 10-year contract, or the contract runs its terms. There's no, oh, I made a mistake, I'm out. You signed a legally, contractually binding obligation agreement and you are going to fulfill it, or they can sue you. And they can seek all their attorney's fees, and they can report you to credit reporting agencies. So you need and will have to pay that money. Another problem with Alliance membership, you can only camp 55 days before you have to pay additional money. What? That alone should raise your hair on the back of your neck. 55 days? I thought you said lifetime free camp, or I thought you said free camping as many days as I want, 365 days a year. Yeah, not with an Alliance. Nope, 55 days. And then you start paying $5 a night. It's only $5 a night, and you can upgrade to free camping, but you have to pay for that, which means your dues are now several $100s a year at minimum, more than an Adventure membership. What? I'm paying more and I'm getting less? Yes. Now, what can I say that's good about an Alliance membership? There is a small amount of people this will work for. And by small, I mean infinitesimally small. The amount of people that are going to work for are going to be those who plan to camp about more than 35 days a night and less than 55 days a night. That's your magic number. Yep. Maybe if you're going 75, 80 days a night, then an Alliance makes sense. And if you know for sure you're going to do it over 10 years, or you know a sucker who will buy it from you when you're done using it, so you're not stuck with that 10-year liability. Addendum number 2 from Jack Caravan as I'm editing the video. I realized it was actually a little harsh on Alliance. I actually almost bought an Alliance. I don't think they're that bad, but in the video I come across as pretty cynical, and perhaps because of a recent conversation I had about them. However, for van lifers, they may be a great membership because if you're at that 55 days or less mark, you actually pay less dues. They're great if you know you're going to be doing it for 10 years, particularly if you're going to be part-time. They're great because of the resaleability, so there are some key advantages to it. And there's other advantages too. You can look on that Facebook group that Alliance gives you in addition to the 200-day booking window. So I was a little harsh and I didn't mean to be. I'm not trying to tell you what memberships to buy or not buy. What I'm trying to tell you, and the main thing I'm trying to tell you, is read the contract. Make sure you know exactly what you're buying. And that's the next thing I want to add. I'm showing you now a Elite Connections membership. Remember I told you the Elite Connections generally has a 180-day booking window. And it also is equivalent to the Explorer of the subscription model, right? So Elite Connections is a used membership, generally 180-day booking window. This one popped up today, actually, as I was editing the video, and I double-checked with the person selling it. It's only a 120-day booking window. There was a period where Elite Connections were only 120 days. So again, 3,000 different types of 1,000 Trails contracts out there. Read your contract because even though it says it's Elite Connections, you may be buying one for a 120-day booking window. And this seller is asking sizably more than I think it's worth based on the 120-day booking window. Just be aware of that and be mindful of that. So read these contracts. Let's do some of the pros and cons of a new versus used membership. So with a new subscription, you have less money out of pocket up front, but you will have more money out of pocket over the years, especially if you plan to camp for more than, say, 3 to 4 years. For most of the current pricing, your break even is around year 4 or 5. You can watch my video on new versus used pricing and how to metrics that out. But suffice it to say, that determination, I've created a spreadsheet for you. I highly encourage you to look at that spreadsheet on my website. But generally speaking, at the current used pricing, you will break even around year 4 to 5 if you buy an equivalent. I.e., if you buy a Journey membership as opposed to an Elite Basic, your break even is around year 4 or 5. But less money out of pocket up front with the subscription. However, over the long term, if you plan to camp, use is probably the way to go. Transferability and resale. The subscription is not transferable, it's not resellable. Once you have bought it, you have bought it, you're contractually obligated to pay for it, and once it is done, it is done. With the used, some memberships, keyword being some, are in fact transferable. For example, a Platinum. Read carefully because some are. Alliance is transferable, however, some of the benefits may fall off. And if you buy a membership that is allegedly transferable after you buy it, ask the Thousand Trails representative, when I go to sell this, what am I selling? And that way you can figure out what your current resale value is. So that is a huge advantage to some used memberships. Benefit terms. It just depends on which membership you're buying. Obviously, like the Alliance that I'm not particularly fond of has a 210-day booking window. That has some value. So the max you're gonna get with a new subscription model is 180 days with Adventure, 120 days, which is what I have. So that is something to look at. With a used membership is the only place you can get an Ultimate Honesty and get a 28-day stay. So if a 28-day stay is important to you, then absolutely consider a used membership. So what do I think? I think that the first question you have to do, and you can go to my website to help you with this, is break down, how long am I gonna be doing this? If I'm gonna be doing this less than 4 years, I may be better off with a subscription. If I'm gonna be doing it more than 4 years, then I may be better off with a lifetime. Where am I gonna go, and how important is it to have Trails Collection and Trails Collection Plus, i.e. the ability to go Trails Collection and Trails Collection? If you're in Florida, you see all the dots, Trails Collection is the way to go. Absolutely. If you're in Arizona, Trails Collection is the way to go, particularly if you're over 55. So the ability to go TC to TC, Trails Collection is very, very important for those folks. So that is the next question you have to answer. Where am I going and what network works for me? How long do I intend to stay? Do I need 21-day stays, or could I even be super cheap here and go with a Platinum membership that is resellable and almost probably camp for the cost of my annual dues? I'm not necessarily advocating buying a Platinum. I almost bought a Platinum. I think that they're a great deal for the right person. But if you're only going to stay 4 to 5 days and you're going to be bouncing all around the country like I am, Platinum may actually be the way to go because of the resellability. So all of those things are things you need to consider. I am not advocating that you should buy a subscription. I'm not advocating that you should buy a new one. I'm trying to show you the differences between them. And I think overall, you have to consider your individual needs and the costs associated with it. As always, if you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe button, turn on notifications, drop us a line in the comments, feel free to reach out. I will absolutely help you if I can and help you pick the right membership for you and answer any questions you have that I can to the best of my ability. As always, thanks for watching. Take care.